Welcome back to Subnautica. This game isn't very difficult, so what if we made it almost impossible? By writing this little command, I've made it so that basically anything that happens will kill me. Crashfish? Dead. Leech? Dead. Biter? Dead. Fire? Dead. And the list goes on. Not only does this make the game extremely difficult, but it also results in some interesting bugs. So before I spoil the entire video, join me as we try and figure out whether or not it's possible to beat Subnautica while taking 10,000 times more damage. Fuck this cutscene. Planet 4546b. An awful place. Almost akin to the United Kingdom, but with slightly less hostile creatures. This run depended almost entirely on speed. Since getting hit by anything is instant death, my only option is to avoid damage. And for that, I needed the Seaglide. While a lesser YouTuber would explain what it actually does, all I need to say is pump. Anyways, I built myself a pair of fins, almost got murdered by this thing, and then made the mistake of entering a cave. Then, I had the genius idea to go there again. Even though I had to clear them through human sacrifice, I did clear the crashfish out of that cave, meaning that exploring should now be safe. No. Anyways, with my life pod repaired, I set out to craft the Seaglide. That thing I was supposed to have about 20 minutes ago. With it, I can actually outrun crashfish, meaning entering a cave isn't just guaranteed death. Now with a Seaglide, I didn't exactly know what to do. I figured I would just try and build a Seamoth. To do this, however, I would first need to get the Seamoth fragments, which is how I ended up with a scanner room. The scanner room? Why did we get a scanner room? And that's the Seamoth. Then I got sidetracked by the Mushroom Cave, which did not end well.
30 seconds. Oxygen.
After increasing my death count by 1, I stared death in the eyes, scanned the mobile vehicle bay fragments, built a mobile vehicle bay, and then built the Seamoth, which I then took on a test drive, and it's dead. This piece of shit lasted a grand total of 4 minutes before fucking exploding. Excellent. Since I was at the Aurora anyways, I figured I would take this opportunity to fix the radiation leak, and now I'm dead. For a second, I actually considered building a second Seamoth. Then I realized how fucking useless it is. Instead, I just Seaglide? Is that the term for using a Seaglide? Anyways, I Seaglide all the way over to the Aurora, died to fall damage, made my way back with the gravity gun, and I was in. I then died to a singular fucking particle of fire. After driving back, again, I got into the Aurora and began doing the usual things. Scanning, taking loot, etc. Eventually, I ended up in the reactor room. Despite the trials and tribulations of getting here, I did make my way to the reactor room. And now, it was time to fix the drive core shielding. The first two leaks were easy. Boom. Bap. Then, I died to this platform. Twice. After fixing a few radiation leaks inside the water, I promptly died to a leech. Eventually, my mission was complete, and I escaped from the Aurora without taking any damage. Now that the radiation leaks were fixed and I had no risk of instantly dying to spicy oxygen, I started exploring the map for wrecks. What I needed was to scan all the necessary parts for the Cyclops, an absolute unit that would also prove to be the most broken thing in this entire run. And so, I began my journey of sea gliding across the entire map really slowly. You see, due to the Seamoth's innate ability to fucking disintegrate when touched by a microbe, I decided I wasn't gonna waste time and resources building 27 of them just to look around the map. What I didn't consider is how unbelievably slow the Seaglide is compared to any actual vehicle. I eventually arrived at the gun island and decided I may as well go through this little event ahead of time. And as per usual, the machine told me to go fuck myself. Anyways, now that we're done with that, let's get back to the Cyclops. In order to find its fragments, I decided to build a little temporary scanner room. This was probably my only intelligent decision throughout this run, because I was done scanning for the Cyclops within 10 minutes. And now, it was just a matter of acquiring the resources to build it. And within about 20 minutes, I had already acquired everything I needed to build it. And so, Big Tank was born. The Cyclops is an absolutely essential part of this run, because, unlike the Seamoth, it doesn't take damage from tiny fish. What I didn't expect, though, is that bumping into terrain would do this.
Surface scanning procedures. Detect.
Meet the Ghost Cyclops. At first glance, this Cyclops may look normal, but believe me, this thing is completely cursed. The way the Cyclops takes damage is completely unique, you know, with the whole fire mechanic and whatnot. And this seems to cause problems when it gets insta-killed. For starters, I can drive it around just fine, but the lights don't work. Okay, it's nothing special, but the engine says we have 0 health. How am I driving it if we have 0 health? Even stranger, I can move the sub up and down just fine, but what the fuck? The HUD's depth meter doesn't change anymore. This wouldn't be too strange if the rest of the HUD didn't work, but it does. The speed buttons work perfectly fine. Why? How? And this isn't even the worst part. That would be the fact that the Cyclops is now completely unkillable. I can bump into anything I want and it just doesn't matter. It can't take any damage. This also means the hull crush depth doesn't matter. We can just go anywhere we want now, which is great, but there's a small problem. You see, when I reload my game, something tells the Cyclops that it was meant to be dead the entire time. And poof, it dies immediately. But to make things even more cursed, the game isn't told about the fact I'm not in a fucking Cyclops. Why am I walking as if I were above ground? I'm 600 meters below sea level and I have regular gravity. What the fuck is wrong with this submarine? And now I'm back in water? What? How? What is wrong with this game? Somehow, I managed to swim up 600 meters before running out of breath, and I narrowly avoided death just this once. But I learned one thing. In this challenge, the Cyclops is completely fucked. And I needed a new one. In order to escape this flooded hell known as Florida, I was going to need a rocket. And building it would require multiple different segments, each with their own costs and requirements. First, the rocket platform. The easiest part to construct. Done. Second, the grapply grabber arm, which is also easy to build despite requiring plasteel, which involves a ton of dives into the mushroom caves, because lithium is not fun to get. The third part, unlike the previous two, is absolutely horrible to build. That is entirely because of these little shits, aerogel and nickel. Both of these require ingredients that spawn in biomes that are far too deep for me to explore with a Seaglide, meaning we have to build another Cyclops. And that is exactly what I did. Meet Megatank, the spiritual successor of Big Tank. I used Megatank to drive around the areas where the entrance to the Blood Kelp Forest and the Lost River could be found, with the intent of marking them with a beacon. Something I would completely forget to do. Anyways, here's a second Seamoth, which would soon just disappear. I don't know where it went, I don't know if it took damage, but all I know is that it disappeared at some point. And then, Megatank took damage, effectively sealing its fate the moment I reloaded the game. Before doing so, I found the Sea Treaders, checked out this wreck, scanned some prawn suit things, and then tied it to the single most bullshit death I think I have ever seen. You see, I forgot to consider the fact that warpers can literally just kill me at any point if they feel like it. So after that completely unfair death, I Seaglide all the way back to Megatank and explored the rest of the wreck, which unfortunately didn't have anything of value. I then drove over to another wreck, which once again resulted in my death. And while on my way back to Megatank, I discovered that I also deal 10,000 times more damage, meaning I could kill a Reaper Leviathan instantly. I then immediately died to a Warper. Thanks, game. So I drove back to Megatank again, got inside, drove him all the way to the safe shallows, and then I lost 2 hours of footage. But effectively, what happened is we built a third Cyclops, who is now dead. We went to the Blood Kelp zone, got enough rubies and gel sacks to craft the aerogel we needed, went to the Lost River, got ourselves some nickel, built the rocket engine, said our goodbyes to Mega Knight, and then, while looking at the ingredients for the next part of the rocket, I asked myself a simple question. What the fuck is an ion power cell? So, is it possible to beat Subnautica while taking 10,000 times more damage? Probably. I don't know. People have beat the game without taking damage, and without vehicles, so I don't see how this wouldn't be possible. I, however, am absolute garbage at this game, and haven't even beat it normally, let alone with this challenge added on top. So, if you want to try and beat this stupidity, just use the damage 10,000 command. And now let's roll the 20-second outro to pad out the video's runtime even more.